Good morning and welcome to the first video for 2024. Today we're going to talk solar panels. This is a bifacial solar panel. It was kindly sent to me by Vic Off-Road. So we're going to take you over this. I'm going to take you over some of my 12 volt system, which I haven't shown you before. We're going to drive to a better location than my driveway. So let's go and do it, eh? This video is brought to you by Vic Off-Road. Welcome and welcome to the Gold Coast. My name is Mark from 10mm Socket Adventures. Today we're at one of the largest marine precincts in the Southern Hemisphere. I'm not quite sure on that, but someone did tell me that. And it's certainly one of the biggest in Australia. So this is Coomera waters, and behind me here I have what they call Shed or Garage 25. It's a fascinating little place. It's got a barber shop, it's got a cafe to my right. Oh, the barber shop's on my left here, and in the middle you've got a car museum. You've got GTs, you've got old Jags and all that in there, but it's currently closed at the moment. So this is why I'm here. There's nobody here. So I just thought I'd just show you this little bit of it here, and then we might just go around and might show you some of the big yachts and all that sort of stuff around here, and maybe a bit of the water if we get close to it. There's a lot of people on holidays up here, so it's very hard to get near the water. So, and then we'll go straight into the solar panel. Welcome back. My name's Mark from 10mm Socket Adventures. Before I start, I'd like to wish you guys a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I know it's a bit late, but this is my first video for 2024. I'm on the banks of the Coomera River right now, and it's a bit overcast, but it's very pleasant. Bit of wind. It has been very muggy up here. So we'll get into the solar panel. I've bought a solar regulator as well. So I'm going to show you guys where I'm up to now. All right, let's get into it. Okay, with this solar panel, I've mounted it this way. So the reason being, these brackets for the awnings on both sides got in the way. It just didn't fit properly. So, and the second reason I'll put it that way is I want to put my match tracks right here, across here, so that'll leave me plenty of room. This is going to be temporary until I get a rack on the roof. Then all these will probably go straight on that rack on the roof, and therefore if I go a rooftop tent, or I can put my swags up, 2 swags up here, it'll leave me the space for those things. So yeah, or I could do the other way around. Obviously the rooftop tent will have to come on the back, but I can mount the swags on the front and leave this alone. I don't know, we'll see what happens there. That's a long way down the track, but I've mounted these. These are all M8 bolts in this rack, so it's pretty easy to mount. As you can see, they're pretty sturdy mounts there, and yeah, it's an interesting solar panel. They call it a bifacial solar panel. I've never heard of them until 2 or 3 months ago, and They draw energy from the top here, obviously, like every other solar panel, but they'll draw energy from the backside. About 15–20% you'll get in the right conditions. So obviously that's not going to work for me because it's laying flat like that. But if it was tilted up like this, you know, and the sun was coming around behind it, or it, you know, it just draws that little bit extra in. So yeah, and also they run the panels, they're running not in series, so they're running parallel. I don't know if you guys can see it. Let's see if we can bring you in a bit closer. Let's have a look. You'll see lines going across this way. There's 3 of them. So you could have shade here, and these 2 other banks will still draw power, so it won't cut it out. But if I have shade, like you can probably see shade from that awning on that solar panel right now, right across, that'll stop the whole panel from working. So pros and cons with solar panels and shade, I suppose. Yeah, so the figures on this is on their website. It says it can it can produce 9.5 amps. I've had it up to 7. So when they say 9.5, that'd be the prime conditions for the solar panel, like the right angle to the sun, the right temperature, all that sort of stuff. So I've had it up to 7, and I'm happy with that, because I was expecting about 5.5, 6. All those figures, you know, as I just said, have to be the prime conditions, you know, for the solar panel. But I've had it up to 7. It just depends on the angle of the sun, and the angle of your car, the whole lot. So I've had it up to 7, and the fridge, it draws about 2.5 to 3.5 when it's already up to temp. So I'm still banking power. Yeah, so I'm very happy with it. Before we go on the inside and look at the 12 volt system, that's a better view of the solar panel, and you can probably see how the parallel system works on this solar panel. Before we go and have a look on the inside, I just want to show you the wiring on the outside. So I've mounted the wiring to the rack, so it comes underneath the rack here, and there's a couple of rub points, so I've got split conduit, and then I've cable tied it. Then it goes straight into an Anderson plug. I don't know, that's a standard solar cable size. And then it goes into the Anderson plug, and then it's running a 6 BNS cable or 10 mil auto. And that's all in split conduit, just in case there's any rub points. Split conduit for the holes that are pre-drilled already in there. And then it runs into the 40 amp Renogy solar regulator. And yeah, so the reason why I've done the Anderson plug here is I want to run a solar blanket. So I can either just pull this out like so. It's a bit hard, it needs 2 hands. Like that. And then I can plug a solar blanket in there. And I'll put that back in. That's a temporary sort of fixture there I've got. Why it's temporary, I'm going to run a dual Anderson plug, so I can run the solar panel off the top of the car and then a blanket at the same time. So it'll go bang, bang, straight into this thick cabling, which will handle the extra watts, and then into the solar regulator. So that's the next project for this, probably, is to do that and buy a solar blanket. All right, let's go and have a look on the inside. So here we are. Excuse my pointing stick, but it saves me hopping inside and showing you guys where all the stuff is. There's not much in here at the moment. This is all a bit of a dog's breakfast, but it's all safe. It's all fused. As you can see, I'm running, if you can see my end of my pointing stick right there, that's a 50 amp circuit breaker, which comes out of that solar regulator. So that's the Renogy. I think I might have mentioned it in previous videos. I was going to go Renogy. So most stuff will be Renogy in here. I want to say most, probably half. So that's a 40 amp solar regulator. You'll see in this space just in here like that, that's where the inverter's going. It's either going to be a 2000 or a 3000. And then the DC will be over here. I want to try and fit in here. I don't know if you can see that properly, but that's a false wall. So I've got marine ply behind all this, and it goes from right down there all the way to the back here, and then marine carpet over the top, so it blends in quite well. I've left this out here, this little square, so that's where the light is for the tub. And I know this cabling looks a bit shonky like that, but I left it loose because it's going to run up here underneath, and I have to put that inverter in. So I didn't want to mount all this wiring properly and then I have to move it again or whatever like that if that inverter gets in the way. So soon I will have the inverter in, hopefully soon I'll have the inverter. Yeah, so it's all working well. This has been going like this for about a month, maybe a bit longer. And this big wave battery, she's a beauty. Hasn't missed a beat. 280 watts, not 280 amps, sorry. And so you might say like, oh, why is he going 2000 watt or 3000 watt inverter? This bad boy here, it runs 250 amps continuous. So you can handle it. I know 3000 watt inverter is a bit of an overkill, but I'd rather have more than less, if that makes any sense. It runs, I'll just show you, it runs this fridge beautifully. No, that's 110 litre Dometic, and that's what I was telling you about before. It runs 2.5 to 3.5. When you first turn it on, it can go 7, 6.5, 4.5, 5.5 when she's warm, but when she's already up to temp, she'll draw 2.5, 3.5. So that's why I've gone this big battery. And let's put you over there. And yeah, so inverter here, regulator, DC to DC charger eventually, and then I'll run the control box, the wiring. It'll go up and over into on top of the canopy and across the other side. Actually, I'll show you a different angle to that. So the wiring for the fridge, I don't know if you can see it, but it runs up the side of the pillar of the canopy, across the back of that roof, and then down again to the other side. That's where I'm going to mount the control box, you know, USBs and C2C chargers and SIG chargers and all that sort of stuff. That'll be on the other side. So when I open that canopy window, and that's the working side of the vehicle, that's where the awning is, and that's where the swag will be and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, so I'm not going to go a big control box, something like, you know, 4 or 5 USBs and a couple of SIGs. No one uses SIGs anymore. I don't know why they still make them like that, but yeah. But mainly the USBs I want, and a C2C, because I ran Samsung stuff. Yeah, so just a better look. When I was talking about the control box, I just want to mount it here on top of this fridge, so it's out of the way, and that way I can utilise this dead space above here. And then I'm going to put some type of board across, just across here, so you can rest your mobile phone, maybe your laptop and all that sort of stuff. So that's my little, what do you call it, power board. It's magnetic. It's a great little, got that from Bunnings. It's great, I love it. Yeah, so, and this, I can still get into the back of the ute behind the fridge there. And if I can just utilise this dead space just up here, I'll be very happy. And because, you know, look, it's just, what are you going to put there? A control box, that's about it. And you can't really store stuff on top because, you know, I haven't got a cage around this fridge, and I'm not going to put one either. So that's the way it's staying. Yeah, so that's just a better look, and you might be able to see that wiring. It goes across, that's gone all fixed up properly. I know it looks a bit ugly, but it's all safe, and yeah, so that's all going to be fixed up. I left it loose like that because I've got to run that wiring to the control box, the wiring to the fridge. So I'm going to put all that into split conduit and then cable tie it all up properly. So that's why I've left it like that. So he's doing all that now, when I've probably got to rip it all out. I've got to put extra wires into that big weight battery as well. So I can DC to DC charger and all that, and the AC to DC as well. Yeah, so all right, that should be it for that. That's it for today's video. But before I go, I'd like to thank Vic Off-Road. They did supply that panel with no charge. They sent me a list of things that I would like or I'd be interested in. So I picked that bifacial solar panel. So far so good. It's working really well. I'm very happy with it. So if you check out Vic Off-Road, they've got heaps of cool stuff on their website, especially if you're in the market for Dometic fridges. Look at their prices for Dometics and they're very competitive. All right guys, I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment, and cheers.